Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. So let's start it. So we don't have any presentation today as I discussed before, but what we have, we are going to talk about the solutions, how to create a solution inside Power Apps, Power Platform, and how we can transport application, whatever application we are going to develop from one environment to the other environment. Yasir, are you there? Maybe just keep adding. Or Usama or Zishan, maybe just take care of if people are going to join later on. So the topic is
Got it, no problem.
how we bundle all the application, all the component, all the pieces within the application and move them from one environment to the other environment. So this is one of the application. We will just take it as an example, and then we'll just try to create a package, bundle this application, and then move it over to the client environment or from the development to the test or production environment. So yeah, everyone please mute. If you're not talking, please mute so that we don't get the disruption. So this is one of the application we have developed. So let me show what kind of pieces we have in this application so that we can just create a new solution and then add all these pieces into one of the solutions. So let me go back and show you guys, if you guys can see my screen, what we have and how we can add application or pieces inside the solution. So it was just the last minute I had to walk through with this one, but hopefully I will try to cover some very important piece of this development life cycle, whatever I know some of you may already know, but it's very important. Whenever we are doing development, we need to bundle all the pieces of the development and then move from one environment to the other environment, which is very helpful. Otherwise, moving components from one environment to the other environment can be a challenging because we cannot do development over and over from one environment to the other environment. So basically, Microsoft has already provided a way where we can just combine everything into a single solution and then move from one environment to the other environment. So let me just close this guy. Let me just, in the meanwhile, yeah, this is a strange behavior from Microsoft side lately where we just try to get out of the application, but it's not letting us go out. I don't know why is this thing showing up, but let's do this. So here we are outside the development IDE. So here you guys can see the solutions option here. So once we click onto the solution, you can see we already have few solutions available here. So one of the solution is onboard solve. So this is the one we have already created. Let me jump into this one and see what we already have in this solution. So solution is basically a container. This container helps you hold all of the smaller pieces related to the application where we can um, add Canvas app, model driven app, or flows, and we can create different other like even if we have custom script like the JavaScript or any other script, you can upload here in this solution as well. You can add all these pages inside the solution, and then publish all the customization from here. If you miss to publish any of the customization from the solution, from the application side or from the flow side, you can publish everything from here, and then create a bundle and then move it over. So if you see here, we already have created this solution and added all the pieces in this solution. So if we go on to the app side, you can see we already have two applications: onboarding task employee application and the onboarding form application. These are the two Canvas apps. So we have added here, and you can directly go from here to modify these applications as well if you wanted to. But you can even modify outside of the solution, but it will still be connected with the solution and storing all the changes within the solution. So that's beauty of the solution. But if in case, I know I haven't prepared anything, but I'm just trying to give you some background. We have this solution already there, so we can just add existing pieces. So if in case it's a new solution we have created and we wanted to add new application, then we can use this new tab from here and start adding Canvas app, model driven app, or any other pages. And here you can see, from here you can add flows, or what kind of flow is it. So we have the desktop flows. I know we haven't talked about Power Automate at all yet, but some of you may already know, but from here you can add different flows, different categories of the flows or the processes. I know this is another thing we haven't talked about any of these pieces, but of course, in on upcoming classes, we're gonna discuss about processes and all other pieces. But here we are just talking about the solutions, and I'm just trying to give you some brief understanding how we can add application or pieces here within the solution. So you can see we can add the cards, chat bar, all these pieces we haven't talked about. So dashboard, these are basically related to the Power BI. We haven't talked about Power BI as well. So report, security, we can create security profiles and add those profiles here within the solution. Tables, it's part of the Dataverse. I know we haven't talked about the Dataverse as well. So we briefly talked about Dataverse at the beginning, but of course, we're going to talk in more detail about these applications in upcoming classes. So from here, from the more we can add, if we have a custom isolated kind of choice options, we can add all those options directly from here. And the component library, we haven't talked about much. Briefly we talked about in previous classes, but this is something we can create custom components, and we can add those components directly here. So connection roles, all these settings, I know it's a big list. We cannot go over everything, but here we have the environment variables. We can always add environment variables. I know a lot of people here may not know what that environment variables are, but basically environment variables are something, um, those can be changed when you move over to the other platform, other environment. So basically we can create multiple environments within our tenant. This is a tenant. This is XOFT systems tenant. What you see here, you can see this tenant gives us, so far this tenant has only one environment, which is just the default environment, but we can create multiple environments. And multiple environment means we can create dev, test, and production environment directly within this same tenant. And then once we have to move application from dev environment over to the test or production, we can just do we have to create a package first in our dev environment, and then move the package over to the test environment. So all the connections, whatever connections are inside our dev environment, that those connections needs to be changed when moved into the test or production. For example, if we are talking about the SharePoint, so SharePoint, if we are using a test SharePoint site, that test SharePoint site might have a lot of dummy data, dummy pages, everything. So we cannot use the same site for the production one or the test one. Of course, the production would have much cleaner uh, instance. So we cannot keep both. So we have to change the connection when we are moving our application from dev to test. So for that, we generally create environment variables. This is just the one of the example, but I know there might be so many. There are so many other examples where we can just use environment variables. That's part of uh, that we can make it part of the solution when we are developing the solution, creating the solution. So any questions? I know it's pretty random because I we haven't prepared any class or the material for this class, but any question, Osama, Zishan, have you guys used the solution before, or any question from you both?
Yeah, I have worked on the solutions as well.
Okay, that's
So
perfect.
I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's
well with it.
wonderful.
But I think it's
Any?
better.
Uh-huh.
Continue.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think because the other teammates have already joined as well these sessions, so it's better to go through these solutions for them as well, so they know about the solutions, of any type of solutions, and how we are going to manage them. What's the best practices?
Yes, yes. I know. Because I haven't prepared. I just arrived, reached home back like 2 minutes before this class, so I haven't prepared anything. Whatever is coming, so it might not be in a proper sequence, but I'm just trying to cover and give some basic understanding about whatever solution can do for us. I know, yeah, I haven't. I have not talked about like what kind of solutions we have. That's a good, very good point. Yeah, I missed that piece when I started talking about the solution. That's a good point. So yeah, we have two kinds of solution. We talk about the solution. I try to give you some understanding how we can create and add um, application within the solution, but there are two types of solution, as you can see from here: unmanaged solution and the managed solution. What's the difference between these two? That's a very important topic, though. Even I struggled at the beginning, like how to differentiate why I'm creating unmanaged or the managed one. So basically, unmanaged is mostly for the development environment, where you can make changes. Um, you can make changes freely, and it's not meant for the production or even for the test. So unmanaged solutions are specific, like it's recommended only for the development environment. I know some people might be using it for the production or the test, but it's not recommended for sure. So within unmanaged solutions, you can make changes, and those changes are stored within that solution. But when you create a managed solution, you cannot make any of the changes. Even if you try to make changes into the managed solution, what it's gonna do, which is not the I know it's not recommended to make changes in the managed solution, and it won't let you do. But even if you try, there is one setting when you're creating solution. Let me create one solution if I can create. I know most of my applications are already in the solution, so it won't let me add any existing application. But let me find if I have any application which I can add into this new test solution. Uh, so these are the publisher. Basically, this can be anything. There's no limitation, but mostly it is basically for. in our case, we are a development company. So for us, we can consider publisher as a, I know as a publisher, we are XOFT as a publisher, but there can be another approach where we can just assign, um, like for each client, we can create a publisher for each client, and this will help us to isolate a complete solution. So solution and application. This is another approach, but for us, since we are XOFT systems, so you can create your own publisher. It's not, it's just basically a prefix where we can help, it helps us to isolate applications within your tenant. So for instance, we are just using the XOFT publisher and create this test solution. So here, so when we try to export solution at that time, it asks for like what kind of solution it should be. It should be managed solution or unmanaged solution. So let me just show this. I think I have one application which is not part of any solution, so I will try to add that application here. What's the name of that application? Yeah, I don't see here. Let's see, go. Outside the Dataverse, I think the feature tracker, this guy is not inside. I was just creating this application a couple of days back. So this one is not part of in any solution, so I can add this here. If application is part of any other solution, it you won't add into the more than one solution because all the changes are being tracked, and so application cannot be in more than one solution. So here we added this application into our solution. I know this application doesn't have any other pieces like the flows or anything like that, but as of now, but this is the only thing we have here. But for this one, let's create a new environment variable for this application. Let's see. Generally, I'm just using prefix var for the environment variable that helps us to differentiate between any other application, any other piece uh, with the variable. So I just generally prefer to use the var as a prefix and create new site SharePoint link. Descriptive variable is always the best approach to go with because this helps us to understand what this variable means. So the data source we can use here because this is basically this environment variable is to communicate and provide the link to our SharePoint site. So we are not going to provide any default value or anything for now, but let's save it. So now we got the variable. Let's go into the application side here. Let's try to connect this variable within the application.
I have a question,
Yes,
Ishan.
please. Go ahead.
Initially, when you didn't add this app in any solution, in which solution it was residing?
Uh-huh.
Means I want to say that when you didn't add any component to any solution, where it resides,
Okay,
uh,
that's a good question. Okay, that's a good question. Okay. Okay, that's good. So basically, whatever application and whatever thing we are creating here in this environment or the tenant, Microsoft stores it in their own databases. I know we have the core database. What is being used for the tenant is the Dataverse database. But by the time, for example, this application, for instance, if you consider like this app, this is not part of the solution, then this application is not residing in any of your databases. It's just residing within the Microsoft databases. Those are outside. They maintain their own database where we are storing this application as of now. But the moment you add the application within the solution, so basically your solution is part of the Dataverse database. The moment you add application in your database, in your solution, this application became part of the Dataverse database. So now this application is in your Dataverse database. Before it was not part of your Dataverse database. Did this answer your question?
Yeah. And what about the default solution?
Default solution. We don't have any concept of default solution. Uh, Default, it may be in the default solution. Yeah, that's right. But that's not that I don't think default solution is part of our own Dataverse.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
haven't seen,
we
yeah,
could, yeah.
that maybe you may be right, but yeah, I don't know where that default solution is and how that piece works. Is that part of the default solution?
Well, I need to check. Means, if you don't add any component to your solution, obviously it's part of the Dataverse environment, and it's residing in the default solution. Because solution, you can say, we can think of it as an abstraction layer of the components, just to group the components or to like this. So if there is no solution, there is always a default solution. You can call that thing a default solution.
Okay, that's a very good point. Yeah, that makes sense. So because since all these
And
applications are storing their own versions as well, so all those versions are going into the default solution. That makes more sense. If you see
and we
the
do
app
not have
version
any
history, you can
control,
see, yeah, we
yeah,
don't have much control on those solution,
on the
the
default
default
solution,
solution.
exactly.
So yeah, that makes sense. Thank you for clearing that. So so this is the application. So we have to change the data connection for this one. For now, this data connection is GK internet site, something like that. So we just made the connection directly within the application site, but now we wanted to use the variable instead of the direct connection. So that's what we are trying to do, right? So I'm going to disconnect. Let me just see what this SharePoint site is, and I can just create I'm going to just remove this for now and add connection. Point. It's why it's not showing the variable here. Okay, here we go. So from here, you can see the advanced option. For the regular connection, when we try to make a regular connection, we can simply just choose our SharePoint site from here. But in this case, we are not trying to make a direct connection with SharePoint site. So what we are trying to do is use a variable what we have created instead. The name of that variable was, what's the name? I think we have not saved that or published that flow, that solution. That's why that variable name is not being displayed here for now. But let's go back and just control this. So this variable is not showing up in our application for now. Let's go on to the all and try to publish this solution so that all the pieces from this solution are available. Publish all customization. Let's see. Then this variable must be available in our application. So it's published. Let's go back and try to add variable in our application as a connection. So SharePoint, I can use the user, and if I go back here, yeah, it's still not showing up. I may need to close this application and reopen, but for now, what I can do is use an existing variable which we already have for other solutions, because variables can be used across different solutions. So we just need to add this variable into this solution. But this one is pointing to a different site. Okay, so this one is pointing to a different site, but let me just provide a site to this variable so that maybe that may help us. Why is this variable not showing up in that application site? Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, it means it needs some kind of connection before it appears inside the application. So this is a shipment list. So I know for now, even for the list, we need to create another variable. So let's cancel it. Let's create another variable in our solution for the list so that we don't need to hard code anything. Let's create a variable and var create new new site list, because this is basically a list. So let's create the connection type as the data source. Connector is we are using SharePoint as a connector for now, and it's a list type. It's not the site type. So for the site, we can use the reference of our SharePoint site variable, which we created before. So we can just save it now. So the default, it's asking for the default, so we can just provide initial value here. So these are the two. So we can just provide initial value for the list and save it. So if I go back into the application side again, oh, wait a minute. So from here, we should be able to see list variable. Let me just close it because it was not there. The SharePoint connection, advanced. This is our site connection, the variable, and this is our list variable. So now this is how we can disconnect this with a data source. So going forward, if in case we have to change the data source, we can simply change within our variable, so we don't need to come into the application side. Let's save this change and publish. So this is how basically we can create a new solution. Let's publish this solution and then try to export this solution, whatever solution we have created. So we can always check, uh, run some solution checker to see if there are any issues within the solution. So it's running. Come on. So let's see what solution checker results are. It will give us, if in case we find any critical errors here, then we need to fix those critical issues first. The medium are kind of okay, we can just let it go. But if we find any critical kind of error, then it means solution has some kind of dependencies and we need to fix those dependencies first before we can move or export that solution. So let's export this solution and see, we can just publish it here from here as well, if in case we need to, if we have not published the customization before. Just close this application from here. Move next. From here, we can select, it must be a managed solution or unmanaged solution. You can just see some basic details directly here, given by the Microsoft itself. So these managed solutions are mainly for production where we cannot make changes. Even if we try to make a connection change in application, after creating the managed solution, it will create a separate layer, unmanaged layer for you, and it won't let you change uh, these anything within the managed solution. So it's better just to be aware what kind of how and what kind of export you need for the solution. So I'm going to create a managed solution for now. Let's see what it does. So solution is exporting. So once this export is done, it will just show a link here for the download. So we can just download that bundle of this application. I know for now this application has only one, just a Canvas app. We don't have any other pieces like the Power Automate or any custom component in this application. So, but it just for an example, this is how we're gonna export the solution. Here we go. Now we got this download link. Let me just download and then I can, as a test, I know I'm not sharing that other screen, but let me just stop sharing and share the other screen, and I'm going to import that and show you how this import piece works. I'm going to stop sharing and share the other screen. So this is another tenant. Is it? No, it's not. Okay, I'm sharing the wrong screen. Let me share a different screen. Can you guys see my screen? So I'm just going to import whatever I have exported there in our tenant. So I'm just going to import that solution here. So import. I just wanted to give you understanding how that import and export works. So basically we can just import it here. It's a different tenant.
What type of component that we can, export through the transport through the solutions, and what we can't?
Oh, that's a very good question. So I think most of the pieces we can do, but of course we cannot move one like the SharePoint. So for instance, if we have in our solution, we need to in our application, we have SharePoint pieces or SharePoint list data, but we cannot export or import SharePoint list like that within the solution. So that's one of the example, but I know there might be some other
Can we
example.
move the data?
Those are
Can
like,
we
yeah,
move data through the solution?
sorry, what you said?
Can we move the data through the solution?
Data, I don't think we can move data with the solution. For the data, we have some other tools available to move the data, but we can move the table schema for sure. But for the table data, that's a very good question. So we may need to find the answer for that. But um, yeah, I don't think we can move the data. That's my just the basic understanding, but there might be some workaround for that. But we can, that's a good question. So we can just find and try to give the answer during our next class.
Can we delete that we have already exported? Let's say there is a component that we have already exported through the managed solution, as you did right
Yeah.
now. Can we delete it directly, the component, not the solution?
So you wanted to delete that uh, component in the managed solution from the managed solution, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
No, look, for example, yeah, that okay, got your point. So this is the managed solution what we have just imported with the test one. Let me just refresh. Oh, it's in still in process. So um, if we remove, for example, we are going to update a solution. If we have created that update and remove that solution in our updates, once we push those updates, it will remove that component from even from the managed solution. So you don't need to directly delete that from the managed solution itself. So what you can do is if you have unmanaged solution available, like for example, in this case, so we created this managed solution and the test one. So that test solution is right here now. So we had one component in this solution. So we try with that solution with that piece, what we had, if we try to remove directly from here after import, it won't let us until unless we have customization settings configured when we're trying to export. During that process, it sometimes it asks for the settings if you wanted to make changes into that solution. So we cannot realistically we cannot make any changes. Even if we try to make change, This is a managed solution, and here, if I try to make a change into this application after importing, it says no, you cannot make changes directly into this application. It won't let you because this is a managed solution. So, but for the deleted pieces, once you delete from the unmanaged solution and move it over to the other update the managed solution, it will automatically delete that piece what you have deleted from the unmanaged solution during that update process. So when you try to update this existing managed solution, it will take care of removal updates, add or remove pieces from the managed solution. Did this answer your question?
Yes, that's pretty well answered. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So you can see this was a managed solution, so you cannot uh, add this application directly in this managed solution. But if in case if I try to update, make changes in this application because the application we moved over must be here. Where is that application? What was the name of that application? Let me refresh and see if I see that application here in this solution, in this tenant now. Why I don't see that application, which was part of the solution. Yeah, generally the application
Can
we
we,
move. Mhm.
yeah, first, my first question is, can we stop someone making directly changes into the UAT, SIT, in the production environment, and how we can
That's a
achieve this? The second
y-
thing is, you know, can we wrap up this session within the 5 minutes? Because it's gonna be 1 hour.
oh, of course, yeah, I'm just wrapping up. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I got your point. So, for the solution, make changes. So, as you can see, we cannot make changes here, right? We cannot make changes in this solution for any of the application. We cannot. It won't let us. But from the application, when you see the application here, why it's not showing up here yet, but it's not showing, the application is not showing here for some reason. But you can make changes directly into the application here. You cannot make changes to the solution, but you can make changes to the application, which is kind of a weird behavior from Microsoft. Even I'm surprised why it's there. But when you make changes, it will create another unmanaged layer for you and make all those changes in unmanaged solution, in unmanaged layer. And those changes are not, whatever changes you make, those changes are not connected with the managed solution anymore. So that application will disconnect itself from the managed solution and start making the changes. So it will create another unmanaged layer. So that's a kind of
How we manage
mhm.
the versions? Let's say if we transport the versions, for example, I am building some application. I want to export, the first version, the second version. How we can achieve it through the solutions?
Okay, so when you are trying to add application within the solution, basically that's the point where you can add what version you need to make part of that solution. So it basically picks up only the live version. So you need to make that version live first from the application side and then make it part of that solution. So it only picks up
The
the live solution.
the fourth column in right now in the screen, the fourth column version,
Uh-huh.
I can see a different type of 1.007. What they do represent here.
So these are basically the version for the same solution. So if I'm making any other changes into that my application and I need to export, for instance, we created this application in this test solution. And now we came up like, hey, this create new site needs some modification. So we made changes into this application directly here. And then once those updates are done, we publish our solution. We create publish all those changes in our this test solution, and then export one more time. It will create another version. If you see, now it's just the one. If I export this solution one more time, it will just create another version of the same solution, carrying updates, and we can export those updates to the other tenant, whatever tenant we have to move these changes. I know in
Okay,
this solution right now. Uh-huh.
how many you can have, and what is the recommended approach to have this version numbers? How many, you know?
There's no limit, like how many numbers. It basically, it totally depends on you, what kind of version you, because it's just the minor version and the major version. You can always define what the sequence should be. Generally, the minor version, uh, the last part is just the minor version, and the major versions come after one and dot one. That's the major version. It will start giving you, you can make those numbers change according to your criteria, but you can always, these version numbers can be changed and defined directly, but by default, it just increment based on the one number one.
Got it. Thank you for answering.
So for now, let me see if it has created another version. Let me refresh this. Since I exported, there were no changes though, but let's see if it has created another one. Here we go. So now it's point two because we exported. With every export, it will create another version and carry all the updates. And now we can export, download this, and do the same as we did before, the import onto the other tenant, and start using. It will just move all the changes, whatever changes you made here on your tenant to the production tenant. Any other questions?
Since the both solution have the same name, so importing the solution again to the UAT in production, it's gonna create a duplicate solution or with the same one solution but with different version.
Okay, that's a good question. So let's see. Let me just do this real quick right now. I know we are already on time, but let me do this for now and show you in real. It will detect if the solution already exists there, it will detect, and it will only make changes to the existing solution and update the existing solution. So let's do this. Uh, Next, and it will see the solution package contains an update for the solution. This is already installed. So we have three options here. Upgrade, stage for the upgrade, or update. So I know we can some other time we can go in more detail about these settings, but for now I'm just keeping it upgrade. This is basically it will make changes to the existing solution and update all the changes those we are bringing in. And once it's done, your changes are here in production. It will keep the same solution. It's not going to delete the old solution. It will just update the solution number, solution version. You can see similarly, my old solution, we have already seen like updated numbers here. So similarly, once this import is done, this number should also go up. So for now, it's just saying one. It should go from one to two after this import is done. So, oops. It did. Oh, it's still in process.
It's done. It's done.
Here we go. Yeah, yeah, it's done now. Yeah. So yeah, this is how we can create solution, add existing application or the pieces within the solution, and then export and import into the tenant. So I hope it helped to some extent. I know it was not very sequential or organized, but I tried to at least give some basic understanding about the solution. So
But at the end, it is informative,
okay, I'm glad it was informative. So that
Thank you for that.
I think at least I have achieved something if it was informative.
Thanks for the session. Really appreciated. I tried to learn something and the new stuff I got.